This is Brian, Atlanta Hot Tub Center and Tub Talk 101, and today by popular demand we're going to talk about, can you convert your chlorine hot tub to a salt hot tub? Short answer is yes. We're going to talk about a couple of different systems that are out there in the market to make it easy to do if that's what you want to do. But before we do, I think you need to have an understanding of what the salt is. Salt is sodium chloride. And the way the system works, okay, is that you have a controller, or it's almost like a display. That display has to be mounted somewhere in your cabinetry. You just cut a hole with a multi-tool and it just kind of screws into your cabinet. But then you have something called a salt cell. And what the salt cell does is it turns salt into chlorine, sodium chloride, right? Turns salt into chlorine. So you're still going to have chlorine in your hot tub. The beneficial part is that it's natural chlorine, so it's a little softer on your skin. Okay? So again, let's talk about this process, right? You're going to have this controller. You're going to set this controller to the use level, right? So that way this salt cell knows how much chlorine to make from the sodium chloride or the salt, right? That turns into chlorine, and that's in your tub. You have to maintain it at 3 to 5 parts per million of chlorine from the actual salt. Okay? Now, there is a myth that in the hot tub industry that a salt system is going to make it easier for you to maintain and you're not going to have the maintenance. Not really true. Okay? That's not really the benefit of having a salt system because, quite frankly, you still have to keep your pH in the ideal range. You still got to get your alkalinity right. You got to get your calcium right. And now you really have to do it because salt and hot water is scientifically proven. Okay, that's what proves a fact to be corrosive, right, is the science, right? So the problem is if your calcium were off or your pH is off and that kind of thing, now it's crazy corrosive, right? So you need to consider that as you go down the journey of finding the right system for you and your family. I want to highlight a couple of systems that I think would be easier to install in a hot tub specifically, just because there's a lot of salt systems out in the market and you don't really want to get into messing with the incoming power or trying to find power off the board, because if you do those things, you're going to need a transformer because you've got to transform the power to low voltage, right? So that way, because all these salt systems and parts, they're all low voltage, right? And if you've got 220 or 115 coming into your hot tub and you can't find the exact low voltage on the board, you're going to have to put in a transformer to transform that voltage to the proper voltage to run these salt system components, right? Because you are going to have another layer of electronics with an actual salt system that have to be maintained, they have to be replaced, right? I mean, salt cells, they only last, 3 or 4 years, they have to be replaced, and they're not cheap, right? So in saying that, there's a dead salt salt system that's designed for hot tubs. There's a gecko salt system that's designed for hot tubs. And some of these systems can actually just be plugged into a 115 volt outlet and it already has the transformer in it. So you plug it into an outlet on the outside of the hot tub, right? The salt cell kind of, with a cord, kind of dangles over into the hot tub, right? Or you can also install it in the actual plumbing if you wanted to, and you could just get an outlet really close to the hot tub so you could plug it in to kind of operate everything. You'd still have to make like a little hole in the side of the cabinet, but this dead salt system does come with an instruction manual on kind of how to put it all together. The gecko one is definitely in line. But it is 115 volts, so that way it would make it easier. You don't have to try to put a transformer in there and kind of make it work. It's coming all together. The transformer's already in the gecko system. You got to plumb the gecko system in, which is the salt cell. Of course, you got to put your interface, your controller on the outside of the cabinet somewhere, but now you're just getting 115 volts off the board, which is pretty easy to find on most of these circuit boards. It shouldn't be a problem. You can even grab it from the incoming power if you needed to. So I would suggest one of those systems to make it easier for you. Another thing that I'd like to just kind of touch on, right? We talk about, you know, it being a little bit softer on your skin. There's a lot of systems out there in today's market where you can maintain chlorine levels pretty low or bromine levels pretty low. Some are at like a half a part or 1 part per million. The at-ease system's one of those systems. There's other systems as well. You know, I would suggest looking at that as well, because now, you know, look, you got a salt system, you have that corrosive factor of the salt, right? And, you know, you still have to maintain at 3 parts per million of chlorine. The chlorine's a little bit softer on your skin, but how much better is it than a system that you can maintain at a half a part or 1 part per million? Right? I'm not really sure, right? And with that half part or 1 part per million, which is why those manufacturers are going after that, you don't have that corrosive factor. So we restore and refurbish hot tubs here, right? So we see these salt system hot tubs come in all the time. And I don't have anything, guys, I truly don't have anything against salt, except for people not telling potential customers and clients, you know, the pros and cons of a salt system before just selling it to them. That's my only problem, right? I think that a salt system's good. It really depends on what it is that you value, which should really drive this for you. But what we see with these salt system hot tubs is that motors you're supposed to get, let's say 12, 13 years out of, you're getting about half of that. You're getting about 6 or 6.5 years out of because of the corrosive factor of the actual salt, which is why you don't see every hot tub manufacturer using salt systems. It's because of that corrosive factor, right? They want to keep their name good. And so, you know, that is something to consider. And remember, right, like salt and in a pool setup, guys, it's different. That's cold water. So salt in cold water is still corrosive, but not nearly as corrosive in hot water. And so the pool side has really adapted to salt because you're going to get like 80-85% of the life expectancy of your components, right? So at that point, you know, the pros and cons, the trade-off, to me it's really worth it doing it in a pool. I actually do agree with a salt pool. But once you get that hot water, that corrosive factor just really creates an issue. Guys, we have tons and tons of videos, man. We got videos about the at-ease system, chlorine systems, bromine systems, salt systems, and I suggest going down the journey of watching those videos so you can make the best possible decision for you and your family. Hey guys, if you like this video, please subscribe, like the video, right? Because we want to get our content out to more people and help more people make the right decision for them. This is Brian at Atlanta Hot Tub Center, and can you convert a chlorine hot tub to a salt hot tub? Thank you.